Welcome to the Level Up Your Band podcast, episode 97. Hello and welcome back to the Level Up Your Band podcast. My name is Gavin Patterson and I have Julian Pombo with me. How are you doing, Julian?
Hey, yeah, I'm okay. Not bad. I'm actually really excited about this episode.
Yeah.
This is going to be another good one.
So we've got another interview. This is our second interview in the podcast, and I'm going to hand over to Julian to introduce the guest.
Okay, so this one's really cool. It's a little different from the last one. So today we're going to have a jazz musician in. Ooh. No. He's one of my pals from uni, Liam Shortall. He's a trombone player, composer, awesome guitarist. Like, probably fair to say he's a multi-instrumentalist. He's great. Yeah, recent graduate. Well, I say recent. School of 2017.
Yeah,
from the Royal Conservatoire School.
It feels way more recent than it is.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? And you might have heard of a couple of these projects if you're into your Scottish jazz scene stuff. Corto.alto, he's the mastermind behind that. And you will have seen him in Graham Costello's STRATA, Aku, Tom McGuire and the Brassholes, Fat Suit, Escape Routes, and he's been touring with the National Jazz Orchestra of Scotland. And this guy's only 23, which is nuts. All of that, and he's barely a quarter through this journey on planet Earth. On life.
That's optimistic. A quarter. What's that? 92? I think that's 92. Yeah.
Not even a quarter of a century.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see you again, Julian, and meet you too, Gavin.
It's really nice to see you too.
Sure.
So, yeah, let's just get on with it. So, we are really interested in how people even, sort of get into this whole music playing business, because it's always different. It's always weird. So just tell us a little bit of how you got into music. How did you come across it? When did you find out it was a thing you really wanted to get into?
Well, it started. I'm from Dumfries. And I started playing guitar when I was about 9, because my friend played guitar and I thought it was cool. And I didn't really think it was anything that I was going to take that seriously. I always had different kind of fads, like different kind of interests when I was a kid, like BMXing and stuff like that. And I think my parents just thought it was going to be another thing that I just was like, tried for like a week.
Yeah,
and
did for a couple of months and then like drop. Yeah.
But yeah, luckily I had this awesome guitar teacher called Carl Jacobson. He was my first music teacher, and he just this old dude in Dumfries. He was the coolest guy ever, and he just totally inspired me. And I think it kind of really spoke. I mean, now it speaks to me on the kind of I don't know, influence a teacher can have, and like the kind of effect that like a good positive role model can have on anyone's career. Because I think, he was just an awesome influence on me. And then I picked up trombone when I was in primary 5. I don't know if we did this at your school, Julian, but we did this thing called Sound Start, where we everyone in the class got the option to play a wind instrument, or I think it was like a wind orchestra, so there was percussion and we obviously woodwind and brass, and there was no string instruments, but yeah, that was the kind of the what's it called, whatever. So I picked the first time I picked alto saxophone, then tenor saxophone, and then trumpet as third choice, and then the fourth there was like a reserve, and I'm pretty sure I picked drums. But then I was in hospital because I had the mumps. Whatever that is. So then I got back, and then the only thing they had was a trombone, and I was just, I was super gutted because it was just the lamest thing ever, I thought. But yeah, and it's still, I still do think it's the lamest thing ever. But I don't think I mean, I love the trombone now, obviously, but at the time, just was really not keen on playing trombone. I think maybe now, because I'm the only person that still plays an instrument from them 30 kids.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's like maybe a weird thing. Like if you're really into it at the start, you're kind of going to lose interest sooner or whatever. But yeah, I really got into playing the trombone through like just playing Dumfries Town Band, which is like a kind of traditional brass band, and that got me really into reading music and like that kind of brass playing kind of precision thing, like you know, just like that discipline, which is really something in itself. Yeah. And then I got into playing jazz through Dumfries Youth Jazz Group, which I know
that's right. Yeah, I was in that for a little bit. Back in my awkward phase when I had like extra long hair. Yeah, I remember. And then I revisited that phase again when I was like 22 or something. Yeah. Just didn't have enough of it back then. Like 10 years ago, I decided to just come back.
I remember like kind of never really meeting you, but always kind of hearing about you through.
Yes.
You were kind of this mystical, like magic, just ridiculous flute player that I never really got to meet, but I heard quite a lot about. And then and then did that, and then fast forward until I got into I started studying in the RCS at the jazz course when I was 16. I left school in 5th year and did that. And then, did that for 4 years. Can't really, it was awesome. And then graduated 3 years ago, and I've just been working in different people's projects. Like, did a lot of Tom McGuire the Brassholes stuff, and then started my own project about a year ago, and then just been working on that,
Cool. Awesome.
That's a potted
Dumfries
history.
Youth. Yeah, no, that's just brought back some memories for me as well. Dumfries Youth Jazz Big Band, the jazz group.
Shouts out to Christine Barber.
That's right. God bless Christine Barber.
Did you play sax, Julian, or was it just flute?
No. So I played. I actually played bass in that.
Oh right. Okay.
I played bass guitar. And I think I came in because there was 4 bands, if I remember correctly, and I came in on band. There was like the first band band 1 was like the best one, and then you had band 2, and I came in on band 2, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how to read music. It was actually Miss Barber, Christine Barber. Like, I just remember she put the music in front of me. I had no idea what I was doing, and me being the absolute idiot that I was, put my hand up and I asked for tabs in a big band, right? Because that's the only thing I'd been used to reading. And then she sort of like laughed at me and then started shouting at me and basically told me, like, if you don't learn how to read sheet music for like the next time you're here, you're not coming back.
She was a savage before that word was even popular.
She was savage. But to be honest, to be fair to her, like, if she hadn't said that to me, I probably wouldn't have, because I remember like that day I got really sad because I was that kind of kid when I was younger, and then I went back home, and then the next day I was just like practicing bass guitar like furiously, like trying to like learn how to read music, read bass clef. It was insane.
But it really also speaks to like the fact that there were 4 big bands of kids playing music in a town like Dumfries it's just so unimaginable now. I mean, I knew it went down to like 2, then 1 big band, and then it was like a 8-piece, and then it was a quartet, and then it just stopped. It's just so sad to see that. I mean, they did such amazing work, but I know there was a similar thing in Fife and a similar thing in Glasgow. Mm-hmm. It's all kind of just through music being defunded, the music education being defunded. It's super sad to see, because I know there's loads of musicians still playing like out of that Dumfries crowd, like Scott Murphy and Leah Goff Cooper,
John Lowry as well.
Yeah, all these people, and it was like it's very sad to see that not happening anymore. But
yeah. So you kind of told us why trombone and it seems like it was a little bit of an accident, which is kind of the same with how I got into playing the flute as well, because I sort of just had to tick a box, and I had barely gotten a grasp on the English language at that point. I had no idea, so I just went. It was actually guitar was the first thing I wanted to learn how to play, and they were like, "Yeah, we have no spaces for that now."
Yeah.
So my parents made me choose flute, and I had no idea what a flute was, and I turned up to the lesson, and they gave me this sort of like big long silver stick, and I was like, "All right, cool, fair enough," and just sort of stuck with it for a little bit. So we know why you play the trombone, but why jazz? What happened? Because I feel like no, it's not. It's not what went wrong, but like
hand on the shoulder, just like, yeah, what happened, man?
Yeah,
it was quite, I don't know, because I used to play in a Dumfries Town Band, which is quite like I say, traditional brass band.
Yeah,
and then I was also playing in Dumfries Youth Jazz Group, and it was quite a clash of worlds, actually. I mean, not from the jazz perspective, but maybe like the brass, my brass teacher wasn't really that keen on me playing jazz, and I didn't really see it the other way around, and I never understood why that was, and I always thought, and I don't know, I always thought since playing guitar, I would always learn like Mark Knopfler solos and like, you know, Sweet Child of Mine and just like rock out.
Yeah,
and I always thought that was what music was, just like playing, and then I was just shredding on blues scales and just like sounding terrible, but just like loving that. Just loving having that tool, you know, like the blues scale as like a source of expression and source of freedom in that kind of, in a small way, was just like that. I thought that's what music was, and playing in brass bands is like, it's more like a sport than an art. I feel like it's more like there's a discipline to it, and it's really tough to like play with loads of other people and like play in tune and play with the exact same articulation, and that's a thing in itself, which I really, really enjoyed. But I always found the kind of creative side and like the improvisation and like being expression in the moment kind of more exciting and just, I don't know, more interesting, just because I felt like that's what I'd always done from like playing guitar, like blues guitar. I think cool. I think that's probably why I went down there. There was probably a point where there was a crossroads of I could have played, you know, classical trombone, and I mean, I know you had the same thing, because
totally.
You started playing like jazz bass, but
totally by accident.
yeah. But I mean, I feel like there is somewhat a trade-off. There's always going to be a trade-off between. They're not always, but I feel like for me there was a trade-off between playing jazz and having like better technique. Like I feel like if I went and studied classical trombone, now I'd be, you know, a better trombone player, but I don't think I'd be as happy or as I'd have as much output. You know what I mean? And I think for me, especially recently in the last year, with starting my own project and releasing so much music, because we've released, we just finished, but we released a track every 3 weeks for a year.
Yeah.
And doing that is like, it's really showed me like there's quite a lot of reward in releasing music and have people like respond to it, whether it's negative or positive. It's nice to have like just that reactive thing with releasing music, and I feel like you get that a lot more if you have the kind of creative discipline of rather than the I am a robot, I will play this. I will read this passage
I will read the sheet music exactly as it is written. Yeah.
That's an expression that I'm not really in the jazz scene at all. Well, I've played in big bands and stuff like that for maybe 10 years, but it's not really jazz. It's an expression you hear a lot is, "Oh, is he a brass bander or a jazzer?" And you can, you know what, you can learn a lot by just that just one little phrase. You know a lot about the type of playing.
I don't think it's bad to be like I listened to some, like there's a guy called Richard Leonard, who's a trombone player in Glasgow. He's a brass bander. I think he would say he was a brass bander. But he's like a killing jazz trombone player as well. And I admire him so much, because it's like he's like one of the few people in that scene who's learned the discipline, but also been really interested in jazz, and probably had quite a lot of pushback from his teachers to like not learn jazz. And but he's like got really like a lot of like jazz language, and he like really good feel and stuff. And he sounds amazing because he's got both disciplines. But I think the majority of the time it's one or the other for a lot of people, because it is hard, and it's and also like like articulation wise and technique wise. We don't need to go into that because it's boring, but it's a clash of worlds, and two people are telling you two different things. So
yeah, it's funny how jazz is still considered like this sort of big boogeyman sometimes, especially in the sort of classical sphere as well. I was just sort of funny story. So you remember, the Jack Bruce bass? I had no idea who Jack Bruce was until I learned about who the band Cream was, and I was like, oh, Jack Bruce is a bass player and singer in that band with Eric Clapton, and it turns out that he actually went to RCMD. Well, it was the RCMD at the time, and he went there for like not even a year because they found out he was playing like jazz clubs on double bass. He had like he was studying like composition and cello there. Found out he was playing jazz, and they were like, "Look, you can't be doing both at the same time." Like, so
it's so mad.
You either keep on playing jazz, and we kick you out, or you stay here and continue with your studies. So
up until only maybe like a decade ago, they had signs on the pianos in RCS saying no jazz on these pianos. Like, you must when it's the classical people that are like beating the shit out of the pianos. It's not really the jazz people.
That's insane. No jazz on the piano. Wow.
Yeah. I wonder where the threshold is. It's like, because you can push like 20th century music, and then it's like, is this jazz? And then there's some guy that comes in just like, stop. Oh yeah, I did shout, and it did peak.
A wee C major 7 sharp 11 gets played somewhere. Classical people start freaking out. Anyway, there was almost a really good opportunity there for a segue, but I totally missed it. Corto.alto, that's your main sort of project at the moment, and it's been a really cool project to follow and listen to. So just tell us a little bit about that. How did that start?
Yeah, it's weird. I've done a few, like, because we've just approached the last release. I've kind of chatted to a few people about this, and I've kind of been forced to kind of think back and like why I started it. But I think,
by the way, I love the title of the last tune.
Thanks. Yeah, it kind of ends quite abruptly. I was gonna write a big. I mean, I'll get back to what I was saying, but I was going to write a big kind of epic, try and write a big epic ending. But then I thought, like, it's not the end of it, really. It's only kind of, I wanted to end super abruptly so people are, not like thinking that's the end of the project. And that's why I kind of called it Is That It? Because people have been asking, like, oh, is that going to be it? Or are you going to be finished after that? It's like, nah.
No. I guess that's... Sorry, I guess it's the end of like the live from 435 sessions. So that's what you call it.
So that project is recorded in my bedroom on Shortall Street. So I kind of started it for a few different. There's a few different reasons like that opportunity kind of arose, and one being that we were playing in my room quite a lot. We were like rehearsing. I was rehearsing with Aku in here quite a lot, and I had a drum kit always set up, and then me and Peru and James and Mateus got together and started playing some of my tunes, and I was like, oh, we should just record these, because it's like, if you live on Shortall Street, you can make noise until like 3 a.m. and well, wait, not now because of lockdown, but usually you can make noise all night, and it's totally cool. And all my neighbors are musicians too, so it's like you don't really get any complaints. So I thought, that's a reason to do it.
Yeah.
And being surrounded by like loads of, like, just geographically being surrounded by loads of good musicians who I can just call and they can be here in 5 minutes. Like James and Peru live around the corner. Well, they lived around the corner.
Yeah.
Mateus lives like right next to me. Everyone's super close by. So and my flatmates as well. Tom Spirals, who was on one of the tunes, and he's a jungle MC. So we did his music together. It just felt like a good opportunity to start something, and I think I mean, you'll know how this feels. I mean, both of you guys will know how this feels like when you feel like you don't want to release music because you're worried about what other musicians will think. And I kind of like, I realized how like stupid that was. I think after releasing the first couple, because I was quite precious about the first volume, and then after that there was so much pressure to release every 3 weeks that it was like I'd write a tune and be like, I've not really got a lot of time to kind of, I don't know, worry about it or like thinking about it too much, or like hum and hawing over like this bar or this lick or this chord or whatever. So I kind of just was writing stuff just constantly, and then just finishing it and not like going back and like, and then when you bring that to a rehearsal, it's like so open to interpretation. Even I'd forgotten what the tune sounded like, so like I'd be like, oh yeah, and then we so like everyone's ideas were able to kind of bubble to the top without me like feeling too precious about stuff. And I feel like that's where like the middle few volumes are really like where I wanted was like really happy with the sound. I mean, the last volume is really cool, but obviously because of lockdown, I was doing a lot on my own and like just getting people to send parts, and there's like it's a lot less jazzy because there's no interaction. Right. But so, and I kind of just got over the thought that the fear that other people might not like it, and didn't really stop caring about that. And I think that's probably been the best thing I've got from doing the project, just like, and having that accountability as well, like you're releasing every 3 weeks, and like like sometimes it would be the Wednesday and it'd be we'd be releasing every third Friday, and it'd be the Friday coming up, and on the Wednesday I hadn't even written the tune yet, so it's like I'd write it on the Wednesday and then be like, oh, there's no chance I'm going to release it, and then Thursday you come and then everyone comes around and we record something, and then mix it on Thursday night, get it mastered, video edit it, and then it's released on Friday. And then it's like, so like, but like having that experience of doing that a few times, and like that stress and just like, actually just going through and actually doing it and finishing it. I think that was super valuable. And then like, they were like the tunes that, like the tune Squonk, I wrote that. That's like one of my favorite tunes. That I've written on
some
that
cracking
project.
names, by the way, can I just say.
Yeah, that tune is probably one of my favorites, and I wrote it like in a couple hours, and some of the other stuff is just that I've spent ages writing it. I just really, really don't like it. So it's like, I don't know, it's just surprising, because I feel like if you worry about specific things too much rather than writing in kind of a flow state, and you're just writing like you're writing like you're slowly improvising. That's what I kind of I've came to now. Rather than you're going here and then you're going back and then you're going back and forth. I feel like there's so much more freedom for everyone else to interpret it and put their own thing on it. So
it's we talk about this quite a lot with the way people release music in the past and the way they do it now, and you seem to be really embracing the sort of release small bits of content constantly all the time, which is the model that everyone seems to be going to at the moment. It seems to be the most in keeping with sort of modern, just where things are technologically.
Totally, I think it's like people's attention span are at an all-time low, so it's like, and especially if you're just going to release an album which doesn't have any visual partner, it's like I want to always the kind of plan was to capture people's attention with the videos, and then make everyone a bit different, make it kind of just relatable, and like make it a one-shot video so you feel like you're there, and just like not take it too seriously, not like do it in a moody studio where there's like lights and everyone's wearing like suits and shit. It's like, that's just not who I am and who I want, and it just wouldn't suit the music. I feel like having it in my room was like made it way better, just made everyone more comfortable, and I think
your room is like a visual marble. Can I just say it's so busy. It's kind of it's kind of cool. I really like that. It's more interesting than like a sort of sterile like studio
totally.
kind of thing.
I think in Scotland there's maybe like everyone kind of does the same. I always wanted to just like do it my own way, and even like there's probably a lot of trade-offs, sacrifices you have by doing it in your own room. The first one being like the recording is just not that great because it's so small and there's like, you know, sometimes like 6 horns, and then like 2 guitars, and then like a full drum kit mic. Then it's like, I'm not using good mics. I'm like, we're just like cheaping out like every possible way. And I think that's helped me as well, like just mixing stuff that's got so much bleed and mixing stuff that's like not recorded well. I mean, I'm not saying record your stuff terribly, but I think that gives it a certain sound, and it all kind of sounds like it's been in my room. But yeah, I think, sorry, what you were saying about the small kind of parcels of releases rather than
huge
dropping
album.
an album that's, you know, 20-track album, that I feel like, it's hard to get people to listen to an album. And now maybe for me it'll be way easier to get people to invest their time, because I mean, you're asking people a lot for them to just sit and listen to your album. So I think with especially if they don't know anything about you and they've not heard any of your music. So I think that was kind of always the thing of, I want to get people interested rather than just drop an album straight away and then have only my mum listen to it.
Yep.
Although that is completely valuable. Like, I want my mum to listen to my album when it comes out still, but
it's weird how things have changed, like in the music scene. Like we talk about how in the old days you would record an entire album, like a 15-20 track album, whatever, and that, you know, you would spend like 3, 4, 5 months on that one thing, release it, and then go on tour to promote the sales of your album. And now it's the opposite. You release music for free to promote your gigs. It's kind of all flipped, and now it's all about like engagement, because as you said, like people's attention spans are like zip, so you're constantly competing with other things for people's attention, and constantly releasing material like once a month or once every 3 weeks in your case. It just keeps you top of mind all the time, and you can build an audience so much faster by releasing really, really good, engaging content all the time.
And I think the thing about the consistency, not just like releasing maybe a track here and there, but like kind of semi-regularly, but having it like at a strict schedule. I think that's really been something that I never thought was gonna help me, but it's something that surprised me when people are like, "Oh, I can't wait for next Friday." It's like, "Oh, people actually care, and people are actually looking forward to it." So it's like kind of, once you get in that regular momentum, you don't really need to push it that much. You don't really need to remind people that it's in 2 weeks' time, because they know it was last Friday, and they're like, people are like, you know, they've seen that video, and then they're kind of expecting the next one. So that was kind of cool as well. It like meant I didn't have to. I thought I was gonna, for every release, was gonna have to spend a week hyping it up, and then like a week after it, like, you know, like really like trying to milk it as much as possible. But I was surprised. It kind of, that took care of itself almost after the first 4 were released, because there's some momentum built up. Yeah,
it's a cool thing having that, and it's the reliability of it. I mean, it's like anything. I mean, I would say the TV industry have been doing it for years and years and years. Like, your weekly show is on at this time, and it's only now that the music industry's kind of caught up to doing that, and it's worked for decades. You know, I mean, podcasts. There's another example, like a weekly podcast. We release once a week, Wednesday morning, without fail. So far, it seems to be, it's a good model. And people are really capitalizing on that.
It comes part of people's just weekly routine. Like if whoever's listening to this, it might be their, you know, Wednesday. Oh, it's been upgraded. Our meeting, yes. People might be on their way to work, or well, not now, but they might be in a habit of doing something on Wednesday. And I think it's the same with music, whether it's every month or whatever, and the first Friday or the first of every month or something. People can, you know, I think it does really help. It's something I would definitely recommend doing. I kind of stumbled on it by accident, but I think it's something I would do again. Maybe in a less intense form, but something, maybe if I was promoting an album, do a single every month or something like that.
Going back to just the writing process, because well, your videos before COVID, you get everyone round to your house, but now you have to do it, independently. So you were saying that before you would write a tune, you would write an arrangement, and everyone would come in, and then they would play what was, your arrangement, and then add on their own sort of stuff. So now, do you have to spend more time writing, so that when it's all synced up, it's all kind of thought out beforehand?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that's the thing with writing jazz. Sorry, I'm just gonna mute this. But that's the thing with writing jazz. Like, you don't want to oversaturate what you're writing, and you don't want to make it too detailed. One, because they're probably not going to learn it or play it because they're jazz musicians and they think they can play better. Like, if you write a drum groove for a drummer, like if I write a drum groove for a drummer, it always sucks. Like, it always sounds bad. Like, if I wrote like a hip hop groove that's really specific, you'd just be like, I can just play something that's cooler than this. Do you know what I mean? And I think like that's what it's certainly been a different challenge. Doing like writing it for a live band to come in and play, because then they get to hear each other, and you can just write a bit more bare bones, and you can even just for like horn stuff, I don't need to write like every note, I don't need to write the articulation, because everyone's just learning it to MIDI, but everyone's like in a room and we're playing it together and we're like breathing together and stuff like that. But yeah, with the lockdown volume, like the last volume, it's been kind of I've definitely still enjoyed it, but yes, it's really kind of made me have to think like, what do I want here, right? Like, it's not gonna. I don't get to just not think about it, and I don't get to, like, the bass player and the piano player will kind of sort out their left hand and their stuff together, just by automatically that's what they are because they're good musicians. But I've had to be like, right, I need to write stuff that makes sense, and then also like feel wise, because you and also the order you send people stuff in is really important. Yeah. So like, the last tune with Sweat O'Kinch, I had to send him like the really bare bones demo, and then he like wrote his stuff to it, and it was like, it sounded terrible, and then I was trying to convince him that it's not going to sound like that. It's always with MIDI, I think musicians are always a bit like worried about sending MIDI, but everyone understands that it always sounds terrible, like Sibelius exports. But yeah, so I had to send him that, but I didn't want to record Fergus until he'd sent me his stuff back, because I wanted Fergus to be kind of reactive to his solo. And then I couldn't record. I had to record one of the drummers first, then wait for Sweato, and then record Graham, and then wait for Sweato to send something again, then record Graham again. So it was just like, that was a bit of a headache, which you don't take it you take it for granted so much when you're just doing a live session, because all that stuff is just like so automatic, and then when you're doing all this, it's such a headache. But yes, it's definitely like something I like enjoyed the challenge of, and it's something like I think it's good if you're wanting to do more produced jazz, which I do want to do. So
it's cool. Like the COVID situation is kind of forcing you to sort of innovate, if you like, just you're doing like a thing a certain way for so long, and then this comes along and you're like, okay, I've got this monthly video I need to bring out, and how am I going to make this happen under the circumstances? And it's pretty cool.
And I think the just getting people to send the videos of like trying to. You'll be surprised at people that don't know the difference between landscape and portrait. We know. Send a portrait video.
We know. We know.
Yeah. Just make sure the video is good lighting and it's landscape, and then you'll just get someone who sent you a video just like
in the dark.
It's
portrait.
just like Johnny Woodham. That's the guy. Do you know? He's a trumpet player in. He plays with Rex Orange County, but he did a tune, and his video was just so bad that I had to like zoom in and then keyframe everything because his phone was falling over. Like, it was just like, oh man, such nightmare. But yeah, I'm so glad I don't have to do any more really. I'm happy the project's over, but yeah, the lockdown style was getting a bit draining. It's like I'm glad it was only for the last 4 tunes, so yeah.
Cool. So, a lot of the time on the podcast, we kind of, because we reflect on our pasts and all the mistakes that we've done and all the ridiculous stuff that's happened and ridiculous people we've dealt with. We did a really funny episode on how to deal with roasters. Which is quite a fun one. Musicians or anybody that's considered a roaster, audience, whatever.
Yeah.
So, what's the? I've got it written here like your funniest gig story, but it doesn't have to be a gig story, recording story, just funniest music related thing that's ever happened to you.
Oh man.
Anything that you're willing to share.
I don't know. I can't really think of anything. There's obviously like loads of stuff with McGuire and the Brassholes. Like them gigs are always mental, and we always like worry about the gigs so much. And then when we get to doing the gigs, we're always really smashed. And then then the gigs are just fine. Mm-hmm. But like a few times with STRATA, I've been playing, and Fergus, his like, I remember we were playing at Isla Jazz Festival, and if you've not checked out Fergus McCready, everyone that's listening, you should check him out because he's just the most obscene piano player. Plays like folk jazz, but like just absolutely rips it. And then, so we were playing at Isla Jazz Festival, and Fergus, like, he doesn't really drink or do anything, but he had like a few whiskeys, and we were playing at this stage in this like town hall where the piano was like a upright piano, like quite expensive upright piano. It was like on the edge of the stage, and he was just like playing his solo. Then his solo was like 10 minutes long, and just like smashing the piano, just smashing it. And then I was like, I had to like hold the piano at the other side because it was falling off, and it like the wheels came off the thing, and that was quite mental.
Oh my god!
I'm trying to think of other. Yeah, and he just wasn't realizing. He was just like kept playing.
He was just so into it.
Man, I'm sure there is. Just like, I mean, the corto.alto sessions here have always been pretty hilarious, just trying to get people to like actually come into the same room. It's like most of the takes of the live stuff were like probably the first and only take, because we were like just trying to just getting people to like not go to KFC, or like getting people to just like stop smoking cigarettes in my room, and just like getting everyone to just stand there and record and like get their headphones on. Yeah, that's always a mission. Yeah. I can't think of one. Maybe like if I can tell you, like next podcast, you can just tell the story.
Yeah. I mean that was a lot of entertaining stuff there. But yeah, it is always really hard. And it's really hard like bossing because we've talked about this before. Like sometimes it can be a bit sort of weird. I don't want to say the word bossing around, but like, telling your friends that are your colleagues as well, like, hey man, can you like do this? Can you do that? Whatever. And just sort of being like authoritative, I guess. Like, not in like a dickish way, but
it's hard. It's definitely but I feel like good musicians know that it's not personal. Like music can never be, I mean, it shouldn't be personal when you're trying to get, I feel like always, I don't know, when the goal should be making the like music sound good, and the most important thing should be the music, and it shouldn't be anyone's ego or anyone's anyone's being upset about, getting told they're playing something wrong. It's not you're playing something wrong, it's just this is how it should be played. This is how like I want it to be played. I think like it's only kind of in like people who either think they're better than they are, or people who are just unexperienced that kind of get upset at that stuff. Because I think the music has to always come first, really.
Yeah, for sure.
In that situation,
for sure. Yeah, we know we preach that here all the time. Music first, and like you should sit in on an Eriska like rehearsal, because you'd think we all hate each other. We really don't. We just tell it how it is.
I mean, there's definitely a way of saying things. It's like with anything, there's a nice way of saying things. Like you don't have to say. Like, I've played in bands where people just speak to you like and you don't get upset if someone's telling you you're playing something wrong. Like you're playing something wrong. But there is obviously a way to speak to people, and it's not a ticket to be able to speak
you don't go up to them
like
and go, "Hey, idiot, you're playing it wrong." Like,
yeah.
I mean, it depends.
If you're like, I just need that played in this. I prefer it if it was like more like this. But also, like, I think in especially in jazz, there's like a lot of people that just don't know what they want, or maybe less in jazz, but like maybe more. It happens to like experienced musicians where people are just like, I just want a bit more like wow and a bit less like and you're just like, what do you mean? I think there's quite a lot of that as well. So that, I mean, sort that out if you do that.
I love some of the adjectives some people have to describe stuff. We've got our own set of like sussy and chuggy and what other ones. Just we know what it means, but nobody else does.
Yeah, to be honest, it's all alien,
pretty much.
I think a lot in what happens in jazz with this, like people just they'll tell you to do something, but they'll vibe you out while doing it by like referencing something super obscure. So they'll be like, yeah, quite like more like early Mark Juliana, but like, you know, Mark Juliana times ECM times like Russian waltz. And you're like, cool, man. Yeah, you've just completely vibed me out because I have no idea what any of the things sound like. Like a Latvian Mark Juliana, please. What?
Yeah. On the subject of Mark Juliana, I'm so awesome at these segues. Mark Juliana, drummer, right? Yeah. Excellent drummer. Yeah. There we go. You see, I did get a degree in jazz music. I know what I'm talking about. So, who are your favourite musicians? Who do you sort of look up to? Past or present, you know, whatever.
Oh man, like since I've graduated, I've listened to less and less jazz, and I think now I'm really into. I really love hip hop producers. I really love Flying Lotus. I love like Knowledge. He's a hip hop producer. I love Anderson .Paak. He's so sick. Jazz musicians. I love Wynton Marsalis. He's like probably one of my favorite jazz musicians. Joshua Redman, Chris Potter. I like quite a lot of horn players, just like ridiculous horn players, like Elliot Mason, trombone player. What have I been listening to recently? I love Hiatus Coyote. They're like my favorite. Like my favorite album ever is probably Choose Your Weapon. Is probably my favorite album. Yeah. I love like big band. I love Duke Ellington, Count Basie. Yeah. I love Clark Terry, he's a trumpet player. I love loads of music, man. But now I'm definitely listening to way more like sampled hip hop, like from Knowledge. He's like 20, man. That Knowledge is like 29 maybe or like 30, and he's got 80 something albums. Like it's insane, and it's all like really mad. He's got, I mean, the early stuff that you can really hear him getting like to his own style, but it's super amazing. I think that's what inspired me to like just put music out, because I was like, this guy's like, you know, not even 30, and he's got like just almost 100 albums out, and it's just, I mean, it's not all amazing, but it's just like not being afraid. He's obviously not afraid of like what people think. But his music's awesome. You should check that out.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Yeah, I'm also the same. I've not been listening to a lot of jazz really. I've actually gone the complete opposite end, because I know like hip hop, especially stuff like Tribe Called Quest, which I absolutely loved, is all like it samples a lot of like, you know, like hard bop albums and like that. Yeah, lots of jazz albums and that kind of thing. I've been listening to loads of pop punk. Just going back to my, you know, back to when I was 16, and I'll need to send it to you. I actually made and I'll send it to Gavin as well. I made a playlist called Dumb Country Songs, which just has like the most ridiculous like country and western songs. They're so stupid. People listening, you should check out. I'm just gonna name a few, and you need to listen to them because they're so funny. Drop Kick Me Jesus. My wife ran off with my best friend. She got the ring, I got the finger. She thinks my tractor's sexy, and I'm my own grandpa. Like, really, really, really
man.
good stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I've been into that.
Man.
And yeah, so another thing that we like to get from people is, you know, obviously, like this whole podcast is about giving advice to people that are wanting to start a music career. So what advice would you be giving anybody who's wanting to, you know, start their own band, start their own project, or even, you know, on top of that, also maybe like they've started taking an interest in jazz, but they don't know how to sort of get started, what to do?
I think, well, I've kind of already said my main advice, which would be not to worry about what other people think about your music and if it's bad, because I think the only way of getting better is by putting stuff out and letting it kind of marinate and then revisiting it and listen to it again. And then I feel like releasing music is so important and in getting better at writing it and finding your own thing. So there's that. Yeah, for starting a band, I'd say it's more important to play with people who you are friends with and who you get on with and who you can communicate with on a same level than it is for them to be good musicians. Like, I think that's I feel like I'm very lucky because a lot of my people who I have that relationship are also amazing musicians. But I think it's so much more important to be able to have a good laugh with playing music and get on a level with people in rehearsals where you can, like you say, tell people without anyone getting offended, without, you know, we're all on the same page and it's all cool.
Yeah.
That's going to make your music better than whether, you know, if Mark Juliana's on your album and you're not really friends with him. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just like, it's so important to get along with people you're making music with. And more important, the thing Mario Creeby told me when I was like wondering if I should do this gig, I'm not going to mention what gig it was, but he says like the three things that you should, two of these three things should be right when you're taking a gig. Is the money good, is the hang good, and is the music good? And if two of them are right, you take the gig, but if only one of them's right, you don't take the gig. And I think that's like been some of the, I don't know, it's just really helped me make decisions about like what gig I've done. So if I'm doing a wedding, obviously with a wedding band I don't really play with, the money's good, and or like with the Brassholes, the money's good and the hang's good, but the music's not good, but it doesn't matter because your thing, But I think that's some really good advice that I got. But getting into jazz, I think, it's similar to the advice number one. Just don't like follow your ear more than you follow follow the theory, and just listen to loads of music and be open and don't feel guilty about not having heard stuff that people are like, oh my god, you haven't heard this. That's the most poisonous stuff in all of kind of elite music, is like people saying, I can't believe you've not checked this out. Like that, just see that as a opportunity rather than
totally
someone trying to vibe you out. Never say that you've heard something that you haven't, because I mean we've all done that, like when we were younger, just been like,
I definitely,
if someone's like, have you heard this? You just say because you're like, you're embarrassed, but don't worry about that. Like,
you don't want to be no like vibed out,
because I think subconsciously you vibe out yourself and you're like you say, oh yeah, I have checked that, and then you never go and check it out because you've related it with like a weird thing that happened. Do you know what I mean? If you just say no, I haven't, then I think you're more likely to actively go and listen to it and try and find out, because then next time someone talks about it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I did listen to that. I think that's really important, like listening to loads of music and not worrying if you haven't heard stuff.
Cool, awesome. So what's kind of thank you so much for coming on and for taking the time to talk to us, and that it was really fun. It was really interesting.
Thanks.
And I hope you people out there listening to it today, or on whichever day you listen to it, I hope you got something out of this, because I definitely got loads out of this. It was so much fun. So what's next on your, what's next for you? So what's next with corto.alto and gigs and things like that? What should we look out for?
Well, so I'm taking probably a month or so off corto.alto for now, just because I wanted to. It's been super intense over a year. I don't want it to get kind of spoiled for me, so I'm just gonna take some time off doing that.
Take a wee holiday.
So, and I'm gonna work on a new Tom McGuire and the Brassholes album. I don't know when that's gonna come out, but we've written loads of new tunes and sounding awesome. And then I'm recording a new album with STRATA at the end of this month. And then I think we've got an Aku album coming out.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I love the Aku stuff, heavy.
Man. We recorded that album twice, because we recorded it the first time in my house, and I dropped my laptop, and then the whole thing got just lost. So it's on a broken hard drive in a dump somewhere. The first album. If anyone out there wants to go find it, so we got that coming out. That's just an absolute obscene album, and we recorded it like 2 years ago, and we've still not put it out. So
I absolutely love it, man. It's like just because I was talking about, it's just totally my scene. That sort of like really thrashy, like punky kind of stuff.
Super aggressive.
It's so good.
Yeah, if you've not heard Aku, type in the bath having a Magnum into Spotify, and then you'll find it. But yeah, so I think that I'm gonna just continue to working on just playing more guitar, practicing, just usual stuff, man. Just
awesome.
But yeah, certainly taking some time off of corto.alto as a project, and then getting writing, and probably do an album with that next year, I'd say.
Cool. Right. Well, thank you for
lots to look out for.
Yeah, for sure.
It's cool. Thanks a lot for coming on.
No, thank you guys. It's been super nice to chat to you, to meet you, Gavin, and to chat
likewise.
to you.
Yeah, it's nice to see you again, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah. So when's this going out? Is this going out?
This is episode 21. I think episode 19 is coming out tomorrow.
Okay,
so it will be another couple of weeks, and it'll be
2 weeks.
If we've not been wiped out by a different pandemic, or a nuclear bomb or something else.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hope this podcast comes out. If you're listening to this, nice one.
Well done. You got through another 2 weeks.
Unless you're listening to it in an underground bunker somewhere.
Yeah. So
then you shouldn't be listening to it at all. You should be worrying about other stuff.
Yeah, totally. Thanks again for coming on. It was great, and hopefully we'll get to do this again sometime. Hopefully in person at some point, if we ever get out of this pandemic. But so we'll just wrap it up, and I don't know what we've got planned next week.
We never know what we've got planned next week.
We never know.
It's always a surprise.
Like a running joke.
Who knows? We might have another interview, maybe.
You should get one of your cats, Julian.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you put the video out too?
Yeah, we put the video up.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
So we've
got
the
picking my nose.
We've got the YouTube. We upload to YouTube, Facebook,
cool.
And everywhere else you can find podcasts.
Yeah, nice. I'll give it a share.
Yeah, cheers. That'd be good. Thanks again, and just for folks listening, if you want to fire us an email or any requests or any things you want to talk about on the podcast, just send us a little email. You can reach us at www.levelupyourband.com, and if you want to message Liam, where's the best place to reach you? Instagram or?
Probably, Instagram. My Instagram, I'd say Liam Shortall Music. Or just send me an email, lshortall.music@gmail.com.
Cool. Okay, well, that's us wrapped up, and hope you're all doing well, and we'll see you all next week.
Right.
Okay,
right.
Bye.
Cheers.